35. Most beautiful black actresses you can't recognize today. Have you ever seen a face so iconic, so unforgettable, that it defined an entire era, only to wonder, where did she go? These were the queens of Black Hollywood, flawless, fearless, and everywhere. But today, you might walk right past them without even realizing who they once were. Scandals, heartbreak, betrayal, and battles with an unforgiving industry left them nearly unrecognizable. This isn't just about beauty lost, it's about power reclaimed. Get ready to uncover the shocking transformations of 35 legendary black actresses. Don't blink, don't scroll, and make sure to subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, because the truth starts now. Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett, born August 16, 1958, in New York City, and raised in Florida, emerged in the 1990s as the ultimate embodiment of grace, strength, and fire. Her powerful performance as Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It, 1993, not only earned her an Academy Award nomination, but also established her as one of the most commanding talents in Hollywood. Yet behind that breakout success was a painful reckoning with the industry's double standards. After pouring her soul into portraying Turner, enduring brutal training, intense emotional scenes, and complete physical transformation, Bassett found herself inexplicably sidelined. Despite rave reviews and Golden Globe success, the Oscar went to Holly Hunter for The Piano. But worse than the loss was the silence that followed. Scripts stopped arriving. Big-budget studios didn't call. Behind closed doors, insiders admitted the truth: she had become too strong, too black, and refused to play the romantic partner of white leads, a quiet defiance that cost her dearly in an era when conformity was currency. Still, Bassett did not fade. In 1995, she made a roaring comeback in Waiting to Exhale, a film that grossed over $80 million and cemented her as a face of black female resilience. Over the next 2 decades, she built a body of work that showcased her extraordinary range, from How Stella Got Her Groove Back to American Horror Story. Each role was a declaration Angela Bassett would not be boxed in. Then in 2022 came vindication. Her role as Queen Ramonda in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever earned her a historic Oscar nomination, the first for any actor in a Marvel film. The world finally caught up with what her fans had known for decades. Today, Bassett stands not only as a legend, but as a woman who weathered Hollywood's quiet punishments and emerged untouchable. She may look different now, mature, regal, timeless, but her beauty has only deepened. Not just physical allure, but the fierce dignity of a woman who never surrendered her worth for applause. Whoopi Goldberg. Born Karen Elaine Johnson on November 13, 1955 in New York City, Whoopi Goldberg was never one to follow the rules. She stormed into fame with a daring blend of comedy and drama, earning an Academy Award for Ghost 1990, and becoming one of the few entertainers to achieve EGOT status, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. But behind the infectious laugh and fearless performances lies a life wrapped in silence, solitude, and sorrow. Goldberg's early career was revolutionary. She defied stereotypes with The Color Purple 1985, where she portrayed Celie, a role that earned her an Oscar nomination and reshaped black representation in film. But the applause masked the pain. Known for keeping her private life under tight wraps, Goldberg's romantic life was seldom understood. In 1996, she was linked to actor Frank Langella. The relationship, kept hidden from the press, ended tragically when Langella died suddenly. While official reports cited natural causes, whispers of deeper issues surrounded his passing. Whoopi, crushed by the loss, never remarried. Her grief remained locked away, visible only in rare interviews where she confessed, "I lost the one person who truly saw me." Professionally, Whoopi became a trailblazer for black women in comedy, becoming the first solo female host of the Oscars in 1994 and later a fixture on The View. Yet her outspoken nature often invited backlash. From controversial remarks to political debates, she found herself both celebrated and criticized. Hollywood struggled to define her too bold for mainstream boxes, too honest to be tamed. As the years progressed, Whoopi's appearance shifted dramatically. Graying dreadlocks, visible weight fluctuations, and slowed movements led some to believe she had stepped away. But in truth, she had never stopped. Instead, she transitioned into a cultural matriarch, mentoring, producing, and writing all while weathering personal health battles. Today, Whoopi Goldberg is nearly unrecognizable to younger generations, but not because she faded. She evolved. She traded red carpets for real conversations and carved out a legacy that few can rival. A woman of immense depth, she remains a symbol of unapologetic truth-telling in an industry addicted to fantasy. Phylicia Rashad, born June 19, 1948 in Houston, Texas. Phylicia Rashad became a household name as Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show, 1984 to 1992. With unmatched poise, intelligence, and beauty, she redefined the image of Black motherhood on screen. But while millions viewed her as the perfect wife and mother, her real-life marriage told a far more painful story. In 1985, during a live national broadcast of an NFL game, sportscaster and former player Ahmad Rashad proposed to her in front of millions. It was a fairy tale in real time. The wedding soon followed dazzling fans and media alike. For years, they appeared inseparable. Hollywood royalty mingled with sports prestige. But as the cameras dimmed, cracks began to surface. Ahmad's career kept him constantly traveling while Phylicia focused on acting and family. Rumors of infidelity shadowed the marriage. Some claimed he was involved with much younger women. Others whispered about a secret relationship within the sports world. Though these claims were never confirmed, the trust between them began to erode. By 2001, after 16 years, Phylicia filed for divorce. She remained dignified throughout, never publicly attacking her ex-husband. But in a candid moment, she confessed love isn't always enough to hold two people together. Despite the heartbreak, Rashad flourished professionally. She made history in 2004 as the first Black woman to win a Tony Award for Best Actress in a play for A Raisin in the Sun. She continued acting on stage and screen, all while becoming an inspirational figure in the academic world. In 2021, she was appointed Dean of the College of Fine Arts at Howard University. Her alma mater, a full-circle moment that solidified her role as a mentor to future generations. While her physical appearance has changed with age, her signature curls now silver, her stride slower, her aura remains as commanding as ever. Time may have softened her features, but not her presence. To this day, Phylicia Rashad represents enduring elegance, quiet strength, and the reality that sometimes even fairy tales end. But queens always rise. Alfre Woodard, born November 8, 1952 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Alfre Woodard is one of the most decorated actresses in American television and cinema, yet her name is seldom spoken in the same breath as Hollywood's mainstream darlings. With 4 Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe, and over 100 credits to her name, Woodard is a powerhouse of talent, but the recognition she truly deserves has often eluded her. Her rise began in the early 1980s, and by the early 90s, she delivered one of the most gripping performances of the decade in Passion Fish 1992, where she played a nurse grappling with addiction and redemption. Critics were unanimous. Her work was transcendent. Roger Ebert hailed her performance as miraculous. And yet, when Oscar nominations were announced, her name was absent. The omission shocked industry veterans and journalists alike. The truth was ugly. Woodard wasn't ignored because of talent she was too good to ignore. She was overlooked because her presence was too uncompromising, too unapologetic. Hollywood simply didn't know what to do with a Black woman who didn't fit their limiting archetypes. Alfre chose substance over stardom. She rejected roles that demeaned Black women and fought to portray characters with dignity, complexity, and depth. Her career trajectory became one of quiet rebellion. In Miss Evers' Boys 1997, she stunned once more, winning an Emmy for a role that spotlighted the horrors of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. In later years, she pivoted to character-driven performances in projects like 12 Years a Slave Luke Cage and Clemency, the latter earning her the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. Now in her 70s, Woodard's look has transformed her once youthful features, now etched with the wisdom of years lived fiercely. Yet she remains a creative force, mentoring young black artists, producing independent films, and never compromising her standards. She is not as commercially visible as some of her peers, but to those who know, she is royalty. Alfre Woodard didn't need fame to validate her worth. Her legacy is built on courage, principle, and excellence. Hollywood may have underestimated her, but history never will. Lynn Whitfield. Born February 15, 1953, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Lynn Whitfield is a woman whose beauty is as fierce as her acting prowess. She first rose to prominence in the 1991 HBO biopic, The Josephine Baker Story, where she underwent a staggering transformation, losing over 30 pounds, mastering French cabaret, and even performing a full-frontal nude scene, all to portray one of the most enigmatic black icons in history. Her effort earned her an Emmy and international acclaim, but success came at a price. Despite the accolades, Whitfield soon discovered that her performance, rather than unlocking opportunities, exposed Hollywood's discomfort with powerful, sensual black women. Producers saw her as too glamorous, too intense, and quickly typecast her into roles far beneath her caliber. She wasn't offered major romantic leads or central characters. She was either too bold or not relatable enough for a white audience. Her radiance became her punishment. Instead of yielding, Lynn reinvented herself. When film offers waned, she pivoted to television, a move that allowed her more creative freedom and visibility. She delivered haunting performances in Eve's Bayou 1997, and later became a household name once again with her commanding role as Lady May Greenleaf in OWN's Greenleaf 2016 to 2020. Her portrayal of a cunning, deeply layered church matriarch earned her critical praise and introduced her to a new generation. With age, her image has evolved, fewer red carpets, more private moments. The youthful softness once central to her appeal has given way to a commanding elegance. Whitfield's voice, now rich with depth and experience, continues to captivate audiences. While many actresses rely on Hollywood to shape their careers, Lynn Whitfield shaped hers through sheer will. She refused to shrink herself to fit the industry's mold. And though time may have made her less instantly recognizable, it has made her far more significant. She is no longer just a beauty. From the 90s, she is a survivor of an industry that often forgets its greats, yet she endures dazzling in a quieter, more powerful light. Halle Berry. Born August 14, 1966, in Cleveland, Ohio. Halle Berry shattered barriers and made history in 2002 when she became the first, and still the only, black woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress. Her tearful acceptance for Monsters Ball was supposed to usher in a new era not just for her, but for every woman of color in Hollywood. Instead, that moment became both the peak and the turning point of her career. In the years following her Oscar triumph, Berry should have been inundated with prestige roles, but instead, she was given Catwoman 2004, a superhero film that turned into a $100 million disaster. Panned by critics and audiences alike, it earned her a Razzie for Worst Actress, making her the only woman in history to win both a Razzie and an Oscar in the same span of years. Hollywood, unforgiving and narrow-minded, used the film's failure to justify sidelining her. From top billing to near absence, Berry struggled to reclaim her footing. She appeared in Perfect Stranger, The Call, and Gothika, but none reignited the fire. It wasn't until John Wick Chapter 3, 2019, and her directorial debut, Bruised 2021, that she began to rebuild her brand on her own terms. Physically, Halle Berry remains striking, but with more defined angles and subtle signs of aging. Her beauty has matured, as has her sense of control. In interviews, she speaks candidly about being overlooked despite her trailblazing success, describing the Oscar win as a door that was supposed to open, but closed just as quickly. Berry never stopped pushing forward. She transitioned into producing mentoring young talent and advocating for diversity in storytelling. Though she may not appear as frequently on blockbuster posters, she commands a legacy far more enduring than box office figures. Halle Berry didn't fade, she adapted. And her journey is a painful reminder that even historic victories can be followed by cold silence when the industry isn't ready to support the change it celebrates. Vanessa Williams, born March 18, 1963, in Bronx, New York. Vanessa Williams made history in 1983 by becoming the first black woman crowned Miss America. Her win was a cultural earthquake celebrated across the country, but the fairy tale was short-lived. In 1984, unauthorized nude photos taken years earlier resurfaced, leading to a national scandal that forced her to relinquish her crown. Overnight, she went from being a symbol of pride to a subject of controversy. The media devoured the scandal. Sponsors cut ties. The Miss America organization distanced itself. For years, the narrative followed her like a shadow, but Vanessa Williams was far from finished. She channeled the humiliation into fuel. In 1988, she released her debut album, The Right Stuff, which went gold. Her 1992 ballad, Save the Best for Last, soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned multiple Grammy nominations. Her film career blossomed too, with standout roles in Eraser 1996, Soul Food 1997, and Dance with Me 1998. On television, she reinvented herself with unforgettable roles like Wilhelmina Slater in Ugly Betty, 2006-2010, earning Emmy and SAG nominations, and later joined the cast of Desperate Housewives. In 2015, 31 years after the scandal, the Miss America pageant invited her back and issued a formal public apology on live television. It was long overdue, and the standing ovation she received said what words never could she had not just recovered, she had triumphed. Today, Vanessa's appearance has matured with elegance. She embraces aging with pride, often posting makeup-free photos and speaking openly about self-love and growth. No longer just a beauty queen, she's a mother, singer, actress, and entrepreneur. She may not look exactly like the 20-year-old who stunned America in 1983, but that's the point. Time didn't erase her radiance, it revealed her resilience. Vanessa Williams is proof that what they try to take from you means nothing compared to what you choose to reclaim. Regina King, born January 15, 1971, in Los Angeles, California. Regina King has long embodied the spirit of quiet brilliance. From her early days on 227 to commanding roles in Ray If Beale Street Could Talk and HBO's Watchmen, she became one of the most respected actresses in Hollywood. She's an Academy Award winner, a 4-time Emmy recipient, and a trailblazing director. Yet beyond the awards and acclaim, a tragedy would strike that changed her forever. In January 2022, just days after celebrating his 26th birthday, her only son, Ian Alexander Jr., died by suicide. Regina had always been open about the profound bond she shared with Ian. He often accompanied her to red carpet events and tattooed unconditional love in her honor. The loss was not just personal, it was soul-shattering. She withdrew from the public eye, completely canceling all professional obligations. Before this, her career was on a meteoric rise. In 2019, she won the Oscar for If Beale Street Could Talk, and followed it with her directorial debut One Night in Miami, which earned a Golden Globe nomination. She was also the first black woman director to premiere a film at the Venice Film Festival. Regina had become a symbol of artistic excellence and black female leadership in entertainment. Since the tragedy, Regina has slowly re-emerged. In 2023, she made her first appearance at an awards event, speaking with quiet strength. Her beauty, always luminous, now carries the weight of lived sorrow. Her expressions more contemplative. Her voice steadier but softer. She is no longer just an actress or filmmaker. She is a grieving mother, a survivor of unimaginable loss. Regina King's transformation isn't one you see in tabloids. It's a shift in energy from exuberant joy to deep, enduring grace. She has never been unrecognizable because of her face, but because her spirit has carried a weight many would not survive. Regina King didn't just win Hollywood, she endured it with humanity, and that is perhaps her most powerful role yet. Vivica A. Fox, born July 30th, 1964 in South Bend, Indiana. Vivica A. Fox dominated the 1990s and early 2000s with bold, unforgettable performances in Independence Day, Set It Off, and Kill Bill. Striking, sharp-tongued, and full of fire, Vivica was the it girl of the action drama era. But beneath the flashy headlines and red carpet glamour was a whirlwind of heartbreak, financial ruin, and tabloid warfare. In the early 2000s, she entered a highly publicized relationship with rapper 50 Cent. Their romance ignited headlines, but it quickly turned toxic. What began as Hollywood's latest power couple devolved into public mudslinging, with both taking brutal shots at each other in interviews and on social media. The breakup shattered not just her personal peace, but her public image. Hollywood grew hesitant. Casting directors saw her as too controversial, sidelining her in major productions. Then came the financial spiral. In 2007, the IRS hit Vivica with a hefty tax lien, and several of her business ventures crumbled. She quietly sold off assets and took on lower-profile projects to stay afloat. The media painted her as a cautionary tale, but Vivica had no intention of disappearing. Instead of hiding, she leaned in. She starred in reality shows, wrote a best-selling memoir, Every Day I'm Hustling, and launched her own hair brand. She became a fierce advocate for women's independence and entrepreneurship. Her roles shifted from blockbuster bombshell to savvy matriarch, and she embraced the evolution. Today, Vivica A. Fox is different from the young vixen who once lit up action thrillers. Her appearance has matured, glamorous, yes, but more refined. Her voice is tempered with wisdom. Her brand is built not on controversy, but reinvention. Once nearly consumed by love and loss, Vivica didn't break. She rebuilt. She's proof that the fall isn't what defines you, the comeback is. And she came back with a vengeance. Nia Long, born October 30th, 1970 in Brooklyn, New York. Nia Long was once the definition of Black Hollywood royalty. Her breakthrough in Boys in the Hood, 1991, and later roles in Love Jones, 1997, The Best Man series, and Big Mama's House 2000 made her one of the most beloved actresses of the 90s and 2000s. Her natural beauty, radiant smile, and effortless screen charm earned her a permanent place in the hearts of millions. But while her career remained steady, it was her personal life that would deliver the most stunning blow. For over a decade, she was in a high-profile relationship with former NBA player turned coach Ime Udoka. The two became engaged in 2015 and shared a son. From the outside, they were a picture-perfect couple, respected, private, solid. But in September 2022, headlines exploded. Udoka had been suspended as head coach of the Boston Celtics for violating team policies due to an inappropriate relationship with a female staffer. Nia was blindsided. While the Celtics had been aware of the investigation for months, she had been left in the dark. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was humiliating, and it played out under the brutal spotlight of media and public speculation. Nia responded not with rage, but with clarity. She ended the engagement and moved to Los Angeles with her son, prioritizing peace over damage control. In 2023, she returned to screens with You People on Netflix, proving she was far from defeated. She appeared more composed than ever. Her face matured, her demeanor quieter, but sharper. She had not aged out, she had leveled up. Nia Long remains a symbol of timeless beauty, but today her allure lies in her resilience. She did not crumble under public betrayal, she thrived in its aftermath. The girl next door of the 90s is now a woman of steel. Jada Pinkett Smith, born September 18, 1971 in Baltimore, Maryland. Jada Pinkett Smith carved a path in the entertainment world that was always uniquely her own. From her tough girl debut in Menace II Society 1993 to her roles in Set It Off the Matrix trilogy and the Emmy-nominated Red Table Talk, Jada became known for both her fearless acting and unfiltered truth-telling. But it wasn't just her filmography that captured attention, it was her marriage. For over 2 decades, Jada and Will Smith were the gold standard of Hollywood couples. Their union, which began in 1997, was admired as progressive, intimate, and resilient. But behind the carefully curated image was a long-standing split. In October 2023, Jada stunned the world by revealing they had been separated since 2016, maintaining a united front for appearances while quietly living apart. This confession added new weight to Will's infamous 2022 Oscars slap when he assaulted comedian Chris Rock after a joke about Jada. If they weren't together, the public asked why would he react so violently. The incident reignited scrutiny over Jada's past revelations, most notably her entanglement with R&B singer August Alsina, a friend of her son Jaden, which she admitted on Red Table Talk in 2020. Through it all, Jada remained unapologetic. She positioned herself as a truth seeker committed to transparency, even when the truth was messy. Critics accused her of oversharing. Supporters praised her honesty. In interviews, she spoke of redefining marriage and embracing a partnership that no longer fit traditional molds. Physically, Jada has undergone a striking transformation. Her once voluminous hair has been replaced with a shaved head, a decision tied to alopecia. Her look is bolder, rawer, more symbolic of a woman peeling back layers. She's no longer the pixie-cut firecracker of the 90s. She's now a spiritual, introspective figure unconcerned with fitting any Hollywood mold. Jada Pinkett. Smith's evolution is polarizing, but it's real. She's a woman who burned down her own narrative and rewrote it in full view of the world. Love her or hate her, she's not hiding anymore, and that's her most radical act. Gabrielle Union. Born October 29, 1972, in Omaha, Nebraska. Gabrielle Union emerged in the late 90s and early 2000s as the go-to girl for sharp-tongued, stylish roles in teen films like Bring It On 2000 and romantic dramas like Deliver Us from Eva 2003. Her beauty was magnetic, flawless skin, radiant smile, commanding presence. But behind the glamour was a past filled with trauma that she fought for years to suppress. In 1992, when Gabrielle was just 19, her life changed forever. While working at a Payless shoe store, she was raped at gunpoint by a robber. The trauma left deep psychological scars. She developed post-traumatic stress disorder, lived in constant fear, and for years carried a knife in her purse for protection. For a long time, she didn't speak publicly about it until she realized silence was part of what kept victims suffering. Decades later, Gabrielle became an outspoken advocate for sexual assault survivors. She partnered with organizations like RAINN and wrote candidly about her journey in her 2017 memoir, We're Going to Need More Wine. She opened the floodgates for healing not just for herself, but for countless others. Professionally, she reinvented herself. As the lead in BET's Being Mary Jane 2013-2019, she portrayed a complex black woman balancing ambition with vulnerability. Her performance was groundbreaking and deeply personal. She also became a voice for mental health, reproductive rights, and LGBTQ+ youth, especially after becoming a stepmother to Zaya Wade, the transgender daughter of her husband, NBA star Dwyane Wade. Physically, Gabrielle Union looks radiant, but her beauty now carries layers. Her expression reflects someone who has seen darkness and survived it. Her words are intentional. Her confidence is no longer for show, it's armor forged through pain. Gabrielle Union didn't just age, she evolved. From trauma survivor to cultural leader, she is now defined not by the roles she played, but by the truth she lived out loud. You may not recognize her at first glance, but you will never forget her once you understand her story. Sanaa Lathan. Born September 19, 1971, in New York City. Sanaa Lathan has long been revered for her sophisticated charm and girl-next-door warmth. With standout roles in Love and Basketball 2000, The Best Man series, and Brown Sugar 2002. She embodied a generation's dream of romantic black womanhood, poised, intelligent, and effortlessly beautiful. But in 2018, her name exploded across headlines, not for a film role, but because of one of the most bizarre scandals in Hollywood history, the Beyoncé bite. It started with a vague but juicy story from comedian Tiffany Haddish, who revealed that a famous actress had allegedly bitten Beyoncé on the face at a party. The internet went into overdrive. Names were thrown around, but one kept resurfacing: Sanaa Lathan. Lathan denied the accusation, tweeting, "Y'all are funny. Under no circumstances did I bite Beyoncé. If I did, it would have been a love bite." The playful response only fueled speculation. Gossip sites dissected the party guest list, body language and photos, even interviews from years past. Although Beyoncé never confirmed the identity, the rumor clung to Sanaa like glitter impossible to brush off. Despite the media circus, Lathan kept her composure. She never let the drama define her. She stayed focused on her craft, stepping behind the camera to direct her first feature On the Come Up 2022, an adaptation of Angie Thomas's acclaimed novel. It was a bold move that marked her evolution from actress to auteur. Now in her 50s, Sanaa Lathan is less visible on screen but more powerful behind it. Her appearance has subtly changed, softer lines, sharper gaze, but her presence remains magnetic. She embraces her age with elegance, rarely seen chasing the spotlight but always commanding attention when she enters a room. Sanaa Lathan may forever be associated with an internet mystery, but that's not her legacy. She's an artist who has matured, reinvented, and transcended typecasting. The Bite story was noise. Her work both in front of and behind the camera is the real mark she leaves behind. Taraji P. Henson, born September 11, 1970 in Washington, D.C. Taraji P. Henson is known today as one of the most dynamic actresses of her generation. With acclaimed roles in Baby Boy 2001, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button 2008, and her game-changing portrayal of Cookie Lyon in Empire 2015 to 2020, she climbed to the top through sheer grit and undeniable charisma. But long before her Emmy and Oscar nominations, Taraji's life was shaped by a tragedy that nearly broke her. In her 20s, while studying acting at Howard University, Henson fell in love with her high school sweetheart, William Lamar Johnson. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it resulted in the birth of their son, Marcel, in 1994. Just a few years later, in 2003, William was murdered in Washington, D.C., leaving Taraji to raise their son alone. The grief was paralyzing. Henson often recalls the moment she received the call, how the world spun around her, how she had to push through the devastation for the sake of her child. At a time when she was still struggling to land auditions, Taraji didn't collapse. She focused harder. Her breakthrough came with Hustle and Flow 2005, where she sang "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp," a performance that helped win the film an Academy Award for Best Original Song. From there, she continued to shine. But behind the fierce energy she brought to the screen was a single mother mourning a love taken too soon. Now in her 50s, Henson is a vocal advocate for mental health, particularly within the Black community. She founded the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation in her father's name to destigmatize therapy and emotional wellness. Her face has aged with wisdom, her style more commanding than ever. Taraji's beauty was never just physical, it was in her honesty, her hustle, her ability to turn pain into power. Today, she stands as proof that from personal loss can come professional triumph, and that even in the darkest moments, resilience can shine brighter than any spotlight. Thandiwe Newton, born November 6, 1972 in London. Thandiwe Newton, formerly credited as Thandi, burst onto the global stage with an ethereal screen presence that belied a dark personal history. Best known for her work in Beloved 1998, Crash 2004, and Westworld 2016 to 2022. Newton built a reputation for intense, emotionally raw performances. But behind the precision was a painful past she had hidden for decades. At just 16, Newton was cast in her first film and almost immediately exploited. A much older director manipulated her both emotionally and physically under the guise of artistic freedom. He filmed her in nude scenes without proper consent, later bragging about showing the footage to friends. For years, She carried the weight in silence, too afraid to speak out in an industry that rarely protected young women of color. The psychological toll was immense. Newton developed eating disorders, battled self-worth issues, and contemplated leaving acting entirely. But she persisted, slowly reclaiming her narrative with roles that confronted trauma and systemic oppression. In Crash, she played a woman sexually assaulted by a police officer, an echo of the powerlessness she once felt herself. It wasn't until the Me Too movement that Newton publicly shared her story. Unlike many, she named the abuse early on, even when the industry wasn't ready to listen. She became a voice for survivors and an outspoken critic of Hollywood's racial and gender hypocrisy. Her decision to reclaim her birth name Thandiwe, which means beloved in Shona, marked a spiritual reset. It was more than a correction. It was a declaration of identity reclaimed after years of being erased. Today, Newton radiates a different kind of beauty, less about glamour, more about truth. Her face shows the journey, fierce, unfiltered, and wise. She has moved beyond being a muse for male directors to a storyteller in her own right. Thandiwe Newton may look different now, but it's not time that's changed her, it's clarity. She is no longer the silenced girl in someone else's frame. She is the director of her own truth. Rosario Dawson, born May 9, 1979 in New York City, Rosario Dawson burst onto the scene with a fearless debut in Kids 1995 at just 15 years old. She quickly became one of the most recognizable faces in indie and mainstream cinema, starring in Rent, Sin City and 7 Pounds. With her sharp features, magnetic energy, and fearless attitude, Dawson didn't just play strong women, she embodied them. But Rosario's strength wasn't reserved for the screen. In 2014, she became a real-life hero when her personal assistant collapsed from a life-threatening stroke inside her home. Without hesitation, Dawson performed CPR until paramedics arrived, a decision that doctors later said saved the woman's life. This wasn't just luck or instinct. It was a testament to Dawson's lifelong commitment to activism and public service. Beyond acting, Rosario has spent decades on the front lines of political and social change. She co-founded Voto Latino, a non-profit dedicated to empowering young Latinx voters, and has been arrested during protests defending human rights and campaign reform. Her voice carries weight, not just in Hollywood, but on Capitol Hill. Physically, Rosario has always refused to conform. She's aged naturally in an industry addicted to artifice, opting for authenticity over filters. Her face today tells a story not of cosmetic perfection, but of experience, purpose, and resilience. Her career evolved alongside her activism. From Marvel's Daredevil and Luke Cage to her transformative portrayal of Ahsoka Tano in the Star Wars universe, Dawson continues to bring gravity and presence to every role. Yet it's off-screen where she shines brightest. In 2019, she adopted a teenage daughter, embracing motherhood and giving new depth to her advocacy work. She's been open about trauma healing and her complex relationship with fame. Rosario Dawson is no longer just a rising star, she's a grounded force. The youthful rebel of the 90s now carries herself like a woman who's survived chaos, chosen courage, and continues to fight not for awards but for justice. You may not recognize her at first glance, but her impact is unforgettable. Kerry Washington, born January 31, 1977, in the Bronx, New York. Kerry Washington rose to international fame with her role as Olivia Pope in Scandal, 2012 to 2018, a performance that made her the first Black woman to lead a network drama in 40 years. With her poised demeanor, razor-sharp dialogue, and designer wardrobe, she became a symbol of power and grace on television screens across the globe. But Kerry's climb to the top was anything but smooth. Early in her career, casting directors often told her she was too ethnic or not, Black enough coded language used to deny her roles meant for more conventional beauty standards. Determined not to be erased, she refused to dilute her identity to fit outdated molds. Behind the scenes, Washington built a quiet empire. She formed her own production company, Simpson Street, through which she produced projects like Confirmation 2016, and American Son 2019, both of which tackled race, gender, and systemic injustice. She wasn't content with being the face of change. She became the architect of it. As a public figure, Carey is striking, but not for flashy reasons. Her elegance is precise, her words measured. She rarely makes headlines for scandal, but consistently makes moves that reshape the industry. Her activism is as deliberate as her acting-focused, strategic, and often invisible to the public eye. Her appearance has matured gracefully. Gone is the Olivia Pope glam, replaced by softer, more natural tones that reflect her new phase as a producer, director, and mother. There's a thoughtful stillness in her gaze, a depth that only comes from knowing exactly who you are and what battles are worth fighting. Kerry Washington didn't just break barriers, she built a whole new framework for women who would come after her. You may not see her in as many red carpets today, but her presence is in the stories being told, the doors now open, and the voices being amplified. She's no longer just the woman who fixes problems on screen, she's the one fixing the system behind it. Tisha Campbell Martin. Born October 13, 1968 in Oklahoma City. Tisha Campbell Martin became a staple of 90s television. With her quick-wit charm and unmistakable chemistry alongside Martin Lawrence, she brought Gina Waters to life in the smash hit sitcom Martin 1992-1997. For millions, she was the beautiful, relatable girl next door. But while audiences laughed, few knew the battles Tisha was quietly fighting off-screen. In 1997, after 5 seasons, Campbell Martin abruptly left Martin and filed a lawsuit against Lawrence alleging sexual harassment and abuse on set. Though the show concluded amicably, the scandal shook her career. While she continued acting most notably in My Wife and Kids, Hollywood's warmth toward her cooled. Directors hesitated. Studios distanced themselves. Her personal life fared no better. In 2016, after years of financial missteps, she and then-husband Diahann Martin filed for bankruptcy, revealing over $15 million in debt. Tisha later alleged Diahann controlled the finances and emotionally manipulated her during their 22-year marriage. Their divorce in 2020 left her emotionally drained and financially depleted. But Tisha refused to disappear. She began taking small roles in sitcoms, reality shows, and stage plays, working tirelessly to rebrand herself. She appeared on Dr. Ken Outmatched and made a triumphant return to music with new singles that reminded fans of her versatile talent. Today, her physical appearance reflects years of hard-earned wisdom. She has spoken openly about mental health, divorce recovery, and what it means to start over after fame fades. Her smile still lights up a room, but now it radiates strength over sparkle. Tisha Campbell Martin may not be the same woman who ruled 90s television, but that's her power. She's not stuck in the past. She clawed her way forward. The journey broke her, then remade her. Now she stands not as a sitcom sidekick, but as a survivor who turned her pain into purpose. Kim Fields born, May 12, 1969, in New York City. Kim Fields became a teen icon through her role as Tootie on The Facts of Life, 1979 to 1988. With roller skates, pigtails, and endless charm, she was America's sweetheart. Later, she matured into the independent Regine Hunter in Living Single, 1993 to 1998, capturing a new generation's attention. But the transition from child star to adult actress wasn't seamless, and for a while, it nearly erased her. When The Facts of Life ended, Fields struggled to find serious acting work. Casting directors typecast her as the bubbly sidekick, unable to picture her in more mature or dramatic roles. Even after her success in Living Single, her career stagnated. The offers dwindled. The spotlight faded. Hollywood, it seemed, didn't know how to handle a grown-up Tootie. Rather than fight for scraps, Kim walked away. She returned to college and earned a degree in communications, then shifted behind the camera directing episodes of Kenan and Kel Tyler Perry's House of Pain and Meet the Browns. Quietly, she was reshaping her career on her own terms. In 2015, Fields surprised everyone by joining The Real Housewives of Atlanta for one season. Though not a natural fit for the franchise's drama, her appearance reminded audiences of her legacy. She later joined Dancing with the Stars in 2016 and returned to sitcoms with the Upshaws on Netflix, co-starring with Wanda Sykes and Mike Epps. Fields today is markedly different from her early fame. Her look is softer, wiser. She wears her age proudly, never hiding behind nostalgia. She's a mother-wife director and actress who has made peace with the industry that once discarded her. Kim Fields didn't need to cling to the past. She evolved far beyond it. Though Hollywood once froze her in time, she found the courage to press play and rewrite her story on her own terms. Tempest Bledsoe, born August 1st, 1973 in Chicago, Illinois. Tempest Bledsoe became a household name at just 11 years old when she was cast as Vanessa Huxtable on The Cosby Show, 1984 to 1992. With her fresh-faced innocence and natural charisma, she embodied the bright, relatable middle child in one of television's most iconic families. But when the show ended, so did the world's interest in her. Typecasting hit hard. To many, she was still Vanessa, even as she grew into adulthood. Hollywood wasn't interested in letting her evolve. She auditioned, waited, and hoped, but offers were few and far between. Producers hesitated to cast her in new roles. Some didn't even believe she could act outside the Huxtable universe. Compounding her struggle was a cruel public obsession with her appearance. Over the years, she faced constant scrutiny for her weight and looks, with tabloid headlines framing her as unrecognizable. The same industry that once applauded her youthful charm now criticized her for daring to age naturally. Yet Tempest never lashed out. Instead, she reinvented herself. She earned a degree in finance from NYU, kept a low profile, and hosted Clean House on Style Network, embracing a completely different kind of fame. In 2009, she joined Celebrity Fit Club, confronting health challenges publicly and reminding audiences that she was still fighting for herself. She returned to scripted television sporadically, including a brief role in Guys with Kids 2012, where she played a modern working mom. Though the show was short-lived, it marked a small but significant step in reclaiming her place on screen. Now in her 50s, Tempest Bledsoe has transitioned into a private, peaceful life, still in a long-term relationship with actor Darryl M. Bell. She's not chasing stardom. She's embraced survival with grace. She may not headline blockbusters or dominate headlines, but her story speaks volumes. Tempest didn't burn out, she endured. And in a business known for tossing away child stars, her quiet persistence is its own kind of legacy. Robin Givens, born November 27, 1964, in New York City. Robin Givens was once the epitome of high-fashion glamour and Ivy League intelligence. With a degree from Sarah Lawrence College and stunning screen presence, she captured America's attention as Darlene Merriman in Head of the Class 1986 to 1991. But her real-life love story with boxing legend Mike Tyson would overshadow everything she built. In 1988, Givens married Tyson at the peak of his fame, and behind the flashy headlines was a marriage that quickly turned violent. In a shocking interview with Barbara Walters, Robin publicly accused Tyson of domestic abuse, describing her life as torture, pure hell. The nation was stunned. But instead of empathy, she was branded a villain. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Media outlets labeled her a gold digger. Audiences turned on her. Her career stalled. She was painted not as a survivor, but as the woman who took down America's favorite sports hero. The abuse she had spoken out against became her burden to carry alone. For years, Givens was quietly exiled from Hollywood's A-list. She continued to work, but mostly in smaller projects or guest spots. She appeared in Boomerang 1992, Tyler Perry's The Family That Prays 2008, and Riverdale 2017 to 2021, consistently proving that her talent had never waned. She also turned to advocacy. Givens became a fierce spokesperson against domestic violence, sharing her story with courage and refusing to let the world define her by one chapter. Her face may have aged, but it tells the story of survival. Gone is the wide-eyed ingenue. What remains is a woman who stood up when it cost her everything. Today, Robin Givens is unshakably poised, deeply private, and still active in both acting and philanthropy. The public may not recognize her immediately, but those who know her journey see a woman who faced the worst and emerged with grace. She wasn't broken by scandal. She was silenced, vilified, and shunned, yet she spoke anyway. And that more than any headline or rumor is her lasting legacy. Sherri Shepherd, born April 22, 1967 in Chicago, Illinois. Sherri Shepherd carved her space in Hollywood with her infectious humor, warm smile, and quick wit. Known for her scene-stealing roles in sitcoms like The Jamie Foxx Show and Less Than Perfect, she later skyrocketed into daytime television as a co-host on The View, 2007 to 2014, where she became a voice that viewers either passionately loved or fiercely debated. But behind the laughter was a woman carrying immense personal burdens. Throughout her career, Sherri faced deeply public struggles with health love and motherhood. Diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, she openly spoke about her journey with weight loss, body image, and learning to prioritize herself while juggling fame. She once described her health journey not as a transformation, but a battle she fights every single day. Her love life was equally turbulent. In 2011, she married TV writer Lamar Sally. The marriage quickly unraveled amid allegations of deception and betrayal. The couple had planned for a child through surrogacy, but by the time the baby was born, their marriage had collapsed. Sherri publicly disavowed legal responsibility for the child, citing being misled during the process. The scandal was brutal, painting her in a harsh light as the press and public dissected every decision she made. Despite it all, Shepherd didn't retreat. She leaned into the pain, using it as fuel for her comedy. She returned to stand-up, penned a memoir, and eventually landed her own talk show, Sherri, in 2022, following Wendy Williams' departure. The show became a success, signaling her powerful comeback as a solo brand. Now, in her 50s, Sherri's appearance has changed, leaner, more refined, but her spirit remains full of fire. She has embraced aging with laughter, often poking fun at her own missteps, reminding audiences that survival is messy, but it can also be hilarious. Sherri Shepherd didn't just bounce back, she bounced forward. She turned public embarrassment into empowerment, showing that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's a platform for truth. Jasmine Guy, born March 10, 1962, in Boston, Massachusetts. Jasmine Guy became a cultural phenomenon as the sophisticated, witty, and ever-fashionable Whitley Gilbert in A Different World, 1987 to 1993. Her southern drawl, comedic timing, and layered vulnerability turned her into a television icon. Off-screen, she seemed destined for long-term superstardom. But what followed after the series ended was a harsh detour from the fairy tale. Despite her immense popularity, Guy struggled to land substantial roles post A Different World. Hollywood, which had once celebrated her refined black femininity, suddenly didn't know what to do with her. Her roles grew sporadic, limited to guest spots and voiceover work, while the spotlight she once commanded dimmed. Her personal life mirrored the professional challenges. In 1998, she married Terrence Duckett, a businessman, and they welcomed a daughter the following year. But the marriage unraveled in 2008 amid accusations of infidelity and financial mismanagement. Jasmine filed for divorce and sole custody, citing irreconcilable differences. The divorce left her not only emotionally drained but financially devastated. By 2012, she filed for bankruptcy, revealing debts in excess of $123,000. The headlines were cruel. The same media that once adored her now portrayed her as a fallen star, unable to manage her own affairs. But Jasmine Guy is nothing if not a fighter. She reinvented herself as a stage actress, director, and social activist. She became involved in theater productions around the country, nurturing young talent and advocating for the preservation of Black artistic spaces. Today she looks different, less glamour, more grit. The youthful beauty remains in her expressive eyes, but it is now framed by the experience of hardship. Her face tells the story of someone who has walked through fire not untouched, but unashamed. Jasmine Guy's legacy is more than her time as Whitley Gilbert. It's her refusal to let a defining role define her forever. It's her choice to rebuild out of sight on her own terms and with her dignity intact. Cree Summer born July 7, 1969 in Los Angeles, California. Cree Summer is a legend, just not in the way most people realize. While many know her as the eccentric, free-spirited Freddie Brooks from A Different World, 1988 to 1993, her greatest influence lies in her voice. Behind the scenes, she brought to life over 300 animated characters from Penny in Inspector Gadget to Susie Carmichael in Rugrats, becoming the most prolific black voice actress of her era. Yet despite her cultural significance, Cree faced an uphill battle for recognition. Though her voice shaped the childhoods of millions, she was consistently underpaid compared to her white peers. Roles came easily, but respect did not. She became a ghost in her own career, beloved but overlooked, essential yet invisible. Her personal life brought its own heartbreak. In 2016, she suffered a devastating betrayal when her husband, whom she had trusted with their finances, drained her accounts and left her with 2 young daughters. She lost her home and much of her financial security overnight. It was a collapse that could have destroyed anyone. But Cree Summer didn't fold. She fought back through activism, performance, and community. She leaned into her creativity, released soul-funk music under her own name, and returned to voice work with more fire than ever. In an industry that often silences black women, Cree became louder and unapologetically so. Now, in her 50s, her once youthful aura has matured into that of a soulful warrior. She wears her age proudly, with dreadlocks, minimal makeup, and the grace of a woman who has nothing to prove. She is both mother and mentor, still working, still pushing for equity in animation and beyond. Cree Summer may not look the same as she did on TV, but her legacy is louder than ever. She wasn't just heard. She made sure future generations of black girls would be too. Dawn Lewis, born August 13th, 1961 in Brooklyn, New York. Dawn Lewis made her mark as Jaleesa Vinson on A Different World. 1987 to 1992. Smart, no-nonsense, and fiercely independent. Her character resonated with viewers who saw themselves in her resilience and ambition. But unlike many of her castmates, Lewis didn't ride her sitcom fame into a traditional Hollywood trajectory. She walked away by choice. In 1992, at the height of the show's popularity, Lewis left to pursue a role on Hangin' with Mr. Cooper. Many fans were shocked. Why abandon a cultural phenomenon? But for Lewis, it wasn't about chasing attention. It was about growth, range, and ownership of her career. Unfortunately, Mr. Cooper failed to replicate her earlier success. As time passed, roles became scarce. Hollywood often couldn't figure out where to place her, too mature for teen shows, too youthful for matriarch roles. She found herself trapped in a strange purgatory, not forgotten but not fully seen. Then came personal upheaval. In 2004, she married former NBA player Johnny Newman. The relationship soured quickly amid reports of emotional distress and separation. The divorce left Lewis emotionally bruised and career stalled. For a time, she all but disappeared from public life. But Dawn Lewis is not one to surrender quietly. She transitioned into voice work, landed steady gigs in animation and narration, and starred in theater productions that allowed her full range to shine. She voiced characters in Futurama Spider-Man and Star Trek Lower Decks, proving that her talents never diminished, only shifted forms. Today, her physical transformation is subtle but notable. She appears quieter, more centered, less concerned with being seen, more focused on being whole. She founded the A New Day Foundation, a non-profit supporting underserved youth, and now balances entertainment with advocacy. Dawn Lewis isn't chasing relevancy. She's living purposefully. She chose peace over constant pursuit and impact over headlines. Her evolution wasn't loud, but it was powerful. And in that quiet shift, she found something Hollywood could never offer herself. Jackie Harry, born August 14, 1956, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Jackie Harry made history in 1987 as the first black woman to win an Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a comedy series, thanks to her scene-stealing role as Sandra Clark on 227. With her sultry voice, razor-sharp timing, and glamorous persona, she redefined what it meant to be the funny woman on television, fierce, fabulous, and unforgettable. But behind the laughs was a woman wrestling with turmoil. In the late 90s, Jackie married celebrity hairstylist Elgin Charles. Their union at first seemed like a match made in Hollywood heaven, two bold personalities building an empire. But the relationship became entangled in whispers of infidelity, jealousy, and emotional volatility. Both were rumored to have strayed. Their 2003 divorce was messy, and Jackie retreated from the spotlight. For a time, she was relegated to guest roles, cameos, and typecast characters. Hollywood struggled to see her as more than a sassy sidekick. But Jackie didn't fade quietly. She fought for reinvention. She returned to the stage, took dramatic roles, and eventually found a second act in shows like Everybody Hates Chris the Pains and Days of Our Lives. Her physical transformation is notable not because of age, but because of endurance. Jackie embraced aging with grace and humor, never hiding her evolution. She remains as glamorous as ever, but now with a quieter confidence replacing the once over-the-top bravado. More than a punchline, she is a pioneer. She opened doors for a generation of black comedic actresses and continues mentoring talent behind the scenes. Today, her legacy extends far beyond 80s sitcom nostalgia. She is proof that comedic genius doesn't expire, it evolves. Jackie Harry may have once been underestimated, but she was never irrelevant. She didn't just survive the industry's fickleness, she outlasted it with flair. Regina Hall, born December 12, 1970, in Washington, D.C. Regina Hall has long been one of Hollywood's most quietly consistent forces. Best known for her hilarious performances in the Scary Movie franchise, and more recently her acclaimed work in Support the Girls 2018 and The Best Man films, Hall's blend of humor and nuance earned her critical acclaim. But her rise was almost derailed by grief. In 1994, just as she was preparing for graduate school, Hall's father died suddenly from a stroke. The loss devastated her. She had been planning to become a journalist, but her world turned upside down. In a moment of emotional drift, she took a leap into acting, a decision that felt both spontaneous and fated. Her first major role came in 1999's The Best Man, where she played a stripper with unexpected depth. Then came Scary Movie 2000, which turned her into a fan favorite and box office draw. But as much as audiences loved her, Hollywood failed to give her the leading lady status she deserved. She was often cast as the funny best friend or supporting girlfriend, even as she outshone the stars around her. Rather than fight for roles that wouldn't respect her talent, Regina leaned into the indie world. Her performance in Support the Girls earned her a New York Film Critics Circle Award and an Independent Spirit nomination. She also broke new ground as co-host of the 2022 Academy Awards, proving she could anchor even the biggest stages. Privately, Regina has remained single and child-free by choice, a rarity in Hollywood, and has spoken openly about aging, solitude, and spiritual growth. Her appearance has subtly changed over the years, reflecting a woman who embraces time instead of resisting it. She radiates inner peace, often choosing quiet over clamor. Regina Hall nearly left acting before it ever began. Now, decades later, she stands as a master of subtle transformation, a woman who survived grief, sidestepped typecasting, and found her own rhythm in a noisy industry. Monique, born December 11, 1967, in Baltimore, Maryland. Monique. Angela Hicks, known simply as Monique, was once one of the brightest comedic talents in America. Her breakout in The Parkers' 1999-2004 made her a household name, but it was her astonishing transformation in Precious 2009 that solidified her place in cinematic history. Her chilling portrayal of an abusive mother earned her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Yet instead of basking in post-Oscar glory, Mo'Nique found herself shunned. Why she refused to play the game. When asked to campaign for awards without compensation, she declined. When she called out producer Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, and Tyler Perry for what she claimed was industry blackballing, many distanced themselves. Mo'Nique stood firm even as doors slammed shut. The silence was deafening. No major roles followed. She was branded difficult, a kiss of death in an industry that prefers silence over self-respect. But Mo'Nique wasn't finished. In 2018, she sued Netflix for pay discrimination, demanding equal treatment after being offered a fraction of what others received. She was ridiculed, mocked, but eventually vindicated. In 2022, she returned to form with a Netflix comedy special and The Reading 2023, proving her power hadn't diminished, just been dismissed. Her physical presence has evolved over time, slimmer still, commanding. But it's her voice unshaken and unapologetic that defines her. She now carries herself with a regal air, not begging for inclusion, but demanding fairness. Mo'Nique didn't fall from grace. She was pushed, but refused to stay down. She represents the uncomfortable truth about Hollywood's double standards. And while others may have faded quietly, Mo'Nique roared her way back on her terms. Queen Latifah born Dana Owens on March 18, 1970 in Newark, New Jersey. Queen Latifah has done it all: rapper, actress, singer, producer, and pioneer. She burst onto the music scene in the late 80s with Ladies First, becoming one of the first women to dominate hip-hop while demanding respect. But her reign wasn't just about beats and rhymes, it was carved out of deep personal pain. In 1992, Latifah's brother, Lancelot Owens Jr., died in a motorcycle accident while riding a bike she had gifted him. The tragedy crushed her. Overwhelmed by guilt and grief, she spiraled into depression, sought comfort in alcohol and drugs, and kept her pain well hidden behind her growing fame. She was arrested in 1996 for weapon possession and again in 2002 for DUI. But unlike many, she chose to confront her demons head-on. Therapy, faith, and resilience pulled her back. She transformed the grief into strength and in doing so built an empire. From her Golden Globe-winning performance in Life Support to her starring roles in Chicago Set It Off and The Equalizer, Latifah has refused to be boxed in. She made history again in 2021 when she became the first woman to headline a primetime action series as a black lead over 50. Latifah's appearance has matured with unapologetic power. Her beauty has always defied convention, masculine and feminine, soft and strong. She never chased traditional Hollywood glamour. Instead, she became the mold breaker, the original. While she rarely speaks publicly about her sexuality, her decades-long relationship with partner Ebony Nichols and her quiet motherhood have only deepened her mystique. She leads with intention, not scandal. Queen Latifah remains one of the few artists to move seamlessly across industry's genres and generations. From personal loss to industry glory, she has done it with dignity, drive, and undeniable brilliance. Pam Grier, born May 26, 1949, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Pam Grier was the undisputed queen of 1970s blaxploitation cinema. With unforgettable roles in Coffee, 1973, Foxy Brown, 1974, and Sheba Baby, 1975, she wasn't just a star, she was a revolution. Grier was the first black woman to headline action films wielding guns, power, and sexuality in a way Hollywood had never seen before. But her path was never paved with ease. As a child, Pam endured one of life's darkest traumas. She was raped at the age of 6 by 2 boys who broke into her home. The violation haunted her for decades, shaping both her personal boundaries and professional choices. Later, her fame offered no protection from pain. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer in 1988, with doctors giving her just 18 months to live. She fought and won. After her recovery, she returned to the screen with Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown, 1997, a comeback that reintroduced her to a generation too young to witness her initial reign. The performance was subtle, layered, iconic, and it earned her a Golden Globe nomination. Pam Grier never married. She was romantically linked to Richard Pryor and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but no relationship could eclipse her independence. She often said, "I was married to my work." And what a marriage it was. Now in her 70s, Grier's appearance has changed, but her commanding presence hasn't. Silver hair, soulful eyes, and that same unbending gaze still captivate. She's an author, a ranch owner, and a cancer survivor who continues to speak about healing and justice. Pam Grier didn't just break barriers, she obliterated them. Her beauty is now a reflection of battle scars, hard-won wisdom, and the legacy of a woman who dared to be powerful in a world that feared it. Lisa Bonet, born November 16, 1967 in San Francisco, California. Lisa Bonet became a generational icon as Denise Huxtable on The Cosby Show and its spin-off A Different World. With her bohemian style, quiet defiance, and natural beauty, she offered a different kind of black femininity, free-spirited, intellectual, and elusive. But her independence came at a cost. In 1987, she starred in Angel Heart alongside Mickey Rourke, delivering a raw, sensual performance that included an explicit scene. Bill Cosby, furious about the film's content, had her written out of The Cosby Show. At just 20 years old, Lisa learned what it meant to challenge authority in Hollywood and pay the price. That same year, she married Lenny Kravitz. They had daughter Zoe in 1988, and for a while they were the counterculture couple of dreams, cool, rebellious, and impossibly stylish. But the marriage ended in 1993 amid whispers of infidelity and emotional distance. Lisa retreated from the spotlight, appearing in only a handful of projects over the next decade. Then quietly, a second act began. In 2005, she started dating actor Jason Momoa. They married in 2017 and had 2 children, becoming one of Hollywood's most admired unconventional families, until their separation in 2022 stunned fans. Throughout it all, Bonet never chased fame. She stayed rooted in privacy, spiritual growth, and creative autonomy. She lives a life far from red carpets, surrounded by nature, family, and ritual. Visibly, Lisa Bonet has changed. Her features, once synonymous with youthful rebellion, are now marked by time, but not diminished. She embodies a rare kind of aging, unaltered, graceful, and intentionally removed from Hollywood's pressures. Lisa Bonet never gave Hollywood the version of herself it wanted. She gave the world something rarer, a woman unafraid to vanish, to transform, to return only when she had something real to say. CCH Pounder. Born December 25, 1952 in Georgetown, British Guyana. Now Guyana. Carol Christine Hilaria Pounder, known globally as CCH Pounder, never sought fame through conventional beauty standards. Instead, she built a career on intellect intensity and the kind of gravitas that silenced rooms. From Baghdad Cafe to The Shield and NCIS New Orleans, Pounder redefined what authority looked like in a black woman on screen. But getting there was a fight. In the 1970s and 80s, Hollywood didn't know where to place her. She was too strong, too dark-skinned, too intellectual to be cast as a romantic lead, yet too commanding to be relegated to the background. The roles she did land often required her to shrink, to soften her voice, to be less. She refused. Pounder found her breakout in the late 1980s with Baghdad Cafe and earned widespread respect in the 2000s with The Shield, where she portrayed Claudette Wims, a character as complex and principled as any man in uniform. But the accolades were slow to come. While her white counterparts were showered with Emmys, she was nominated but not rewarded. Still, she persisted. She transitioned to voice work, independent films, and television, always commanding, never compromising. In James Cameron's Avatar, she voiced Moat, the spiritual leader of the Na'vi, and will return in the sequels. For decades, she's been a reliable anchor in every project she joins. Now in her 70s, CCH Pounder wears her age like armor. Her regal profile, silver-touched hair, and distinctive voice continue to mesmerize. She doesn't chase celebrity. She commands respect. More than a performer, she is a cultural educator, often speaking on the importance of Caribbean identity, art, and ancestry. She's the kind of actress who didn't wait for doors to open. She kicked them down, reshaped the frame, and made space for others to follow. Layla Rochon, born April 17, 1964, in Los Angeles, California. Layla Rochon once personified grace and cinematic elegance. Her breakout role as Robin Stokes in Waiting to Exhale 1995 positioned her as one of the most promising black leading ladies of the 90s. With a face made for the big screen and a poise few could match, she was poised for a long, luminous career. And then she disappeared. After a string of roles in hits like Boomerang Gang Related and Why Do Fools Fall in Love, her presence in Hollywood began to quietly fade. She turned her attention to family after marrying acclaimed director Antoine Fuqua in 1999. For a while, they seemed like one of Hollywood's low-key power couples, raising children away from the spotlight and avoiding tabloid drama. That peace shattered in 2019 when paparazzi photos revealed Fuqua kissing model Nicole Murphy during a business trip in Italy. The internet exploded. The betrayal was public, humiliating, and merciless. Layla wiped her social media accounts, retreated from the public eye, and chose silence over spectacle. Unlike many, she didn't file for divorce. Instead, she appeared months later, poised and serene at a red carpet event, wedding ring still intact. She never publicly addressed the scandal, letting time and dignity speak for her. Physically, Layla's appearance had shifted during her time away, fuller, more grounded, less polished by Hollywood's rigid beauty standards. Unfairly, online trolls labeled her unrecognizable, forgetting that time moves for all of us, even for stars. But her rare public appearances since then show a woman unbothered by outside opinions. She smiles more freely, stands taller, and wears her resilience like couture. Layla Rochon didn't vanish. She protected her peace. While Hollywood may have moved on, she chose healing over headlines. And in doing so, she redefined strength not as vengeance, but as silent survival. Garcelle Beauvais, born November 26, 1966, in Saint-Marc, Haiti. Garcelle Beauvais has always embodied effortless elegance. From modeling for top fashion brands to acting in The Jamie Foxx Show and NYPD Blue, she brought undeniable presence to every screen she graced. In the 90s and early 2000s, she was one of the few black actresses consistently cast in both comedic and dramatic roles, radiant, poised, and magnetic. But even with her career rising, Garcelle's personal life took a devastating turn that would redefine her forever. In 2010, after nearly 9 years of marriage to Hollywood talent agent Mike Nylon, she discovered he had been having an affair for 5 years. The betrayal cut deep, but what happened next shocked the industry. Instead of staying quiet, Garcelle sent an email exposing his infidelity to his entire company. The subject line, Tiger Woods, Jesse James, Mike Nylon. The message went viral. Tabloids erupted. She was hailed as a queen of revenge, but behind the boldness was heartbreak. Following the divorce, she focused on raising her twin sons and rebuilding herself. She continued acting in shows like Franklin and Bash Coming to America and joined The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in 2020, becoming the franchise's first black cast member. Her grace under pressure and willingness to speak truth to power earned her respect far beyond reality TV. Now, in her 50s, Garcelle looks radiant, not just in beauty, but in confidence. She launched a memoir, Love Me As I Am, where she detailed her immigrant journey, racial barriers in Hollywood, and the healing process after betrayal. Her looks may have changed slightly with age, but her elegance has only deepened. Garcelle Beauvais is no longer just a pretty face from the 90s. She's a woman who survived public humiliation, rose stronger, and reclaimed her voice. Tina Lifford, born May 1st, 1966, in Evanston, Illinois. Tina Lifford has long been a familiar face in black television, from South Central to Parenthood, and later as Aunt Vi in Queen Sugar. But while she often played supporting characters on screen, Her real-life story is one of leading her own healing revolution. Though she worked steadily through the 90s and 2000s, fame always danced just beyond her grasp. Hollywood saw her as reliable, but rarely celebrated. Behind the scenes, she wrestled with an invisible struggle, loneliness, emotional exhaustion, and deep-seated self-doubt. In 2010, Lifford reached a breaking point. After years of pretending everything was fine, she collapsed emotionally. The curtain dropped. She realized that the validation she sought through her work would never fill the void inside. Instead of hiding her breakdown, she transformed it into breakthrough. She began studying inner development psychology and spirituality. What began as a personal journey soon became a public mission. She founded the Inner Fitness Project, a platform focused on mental and emotional well-being, particularly for Black women. She also wrote The Little Book of Big Lies, which became a self-help bestseller. When she joined Queen Sugar in 2016, her role as Aunt Vi, a fierce, loving, yet wounded matriarch, felt autobiographical. Lifford infused the character with real-life healing, turning the performance into a powerful extension of her own transformation. Today, Tina Lifford's face bears the maturity of lived truth. She's not glamorized in the traditional Hollywood sense, she's luminous in wisdom. Her aura is calm, knowing, grounded. She's not chasing youth or fame. She's chasing depth, helping others reconnect with themselves while embodying the strength it takes to admit vulnerability. Tina Lifford may never have been a blockbuster name, but she's become something even more valuable: a guide. A mirror. A living example that the most beautiful transformations often happen far from the spotlight. And so the stories of these once unforgettable Black actresses remind us of a deeper truth. Beauty fades. Fame evolves, but resilience never dies. From public betrayals to quiet reinventions, each woman rewrote her legacy on her own terms. But now we turn it over to you. Did Hollywood fail them? Or did they outgrow an industry that never deserved them in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence for more untold stories, hidden truths, and the real legends who shaped Black culture on and off the screen.